Wait, how did I die? Asked Dusk, as he looks into the darkened cowl before him.
You were slain,
It replies simply. Slain? I was training at the guild. It was a non-lethal trial for students. Nobody should have had real blades.
Somebody clearly did.
Well, that's not fair. How did they even get a blade? That shouldn't have even been possible, he continues, now exasperated and his temper rising.
I am afraid I cannot answer that question,
says Death.
But you are correct. It is not fair. It has never been fair.
Dusk goes to speak, but pauses, noticing the inconsistency in the Reaper's words. What do you mean it has never been fair?
I mean, it has never been fair on you.
Stop speaking so cryptically, yells Dusk, his anger now boiling over. Are you saying that I have died before? Is this not the first time?
No, it is not.
What? So I'm like a yo-yo to you? A toy? Some plaything for children? Death pauses a moment, his head tilting slightly as he thinks.
Closer to a pawn,
he decides.
In a game of chess.
I know what a pawn is. I am a year away from stepping up as a master rogue. I am not the plaything of anyone, whether they be beast, man, or god.
I remember the first time you said that. Take solace in knowing your conviction has never wavered.
Dusk pauses, his argument suddenly deflated, but his anger only flaring deeper inside. But before he can speak again, the cowled figure raises his arm, skeletal fingers extending from his sleeve, and in its wake, golden radiant energy flows outwards and begins to form around Dusk. Wait, no! I have a choice! He calls out as his soul is consumed by the magic.
Good luck, Tobias. May this be the last time.
Comes the last and final words before his vision is lost to light. A moment later, Tobias awakens to the sound of heavy banging at his room's door. Another weird dream, he thinks, as he stares vacantly at the ceiling.
Open up, Tobias. The innkeeper told us you're here.
Wait, that's not a dream, he realizes as he springs to his feet. The memories of where he is still cloudy but coming back fast. Another heavy bang on the door snaps his mind into focus as he hears the crack of splintering wood. Fuck. His mind begins to race as he takes a handful of his belongings and stuffs them into a sack. Think. Hide? Can I hide? No, there's nowhere to hide. What else? His thoughts are interrupted as his own voice, but somehow foreign, comes to him through a mental fog. Take the wire out of the window covers and bend it like a hook, and then use that to unlock the skylight. Tobias stops still, the guards still banging heavily on the door, only a few more slams between them and the young rogue. Yeah. Okay, me, I can do that, he says quietly, an unsure tone in his voice. Yeah, I can do that. A few seconds later, a shower of splinters spray the room as the door bursts open, 3 of the city's finest charging inside.
Tobias Whitehall, I am placing you...
The guard's voice trails off as he looks around the empty room.
Oh, that bastard!
Above them, a soft and quiet breeze blows through the open skylight as it softly clicks shut. Hello everybody, and welcome to Arcana Uncovered, our second episode. I don't know how I feel about this one. How you doing, Rowan? How you going?
Yeah, pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. By the way, I'm Alex, not your dungeon master, but your best friend, and with me is Rowan Douglas, also your best friend. Fair. That's my little story of the revived rogue. And I feel like that will play into my origin stories as we get through it. But first, let's go to the new Arcana and have a look at the overview of this class and what it brings to the table. Ooh, what have we got? Roguish archetype, the Revived. You've had a soul-shaking realization. You've been dead before, yet somehow you are alive again. This life isn't your first. and it may not even be your second. So we've got the idea of a rogue, specifically, of course it would happen to a rogue, who has died at least once, and is now drawing on the benefits of having all those previous encounters with death. So this brings us to the first feature, third level revive feature, Token of Past Lives. Your talents, you remember talents you had in your previous life. When you finish your long rest, you gain one skill or tool proficiency of your choice. You can replace this proficiency with another when you finish a long rest. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Rowan, what are your thoughts?
I think it's really, really neat. Makes it more versatile.
My only consideration is, do rogues need more skills? You be the judge.
Probably not.
No, they don't. It's not even probably, it's a fact, they don't. The second third level revive feature we have is the revived nature. Your newfound connection to death gives you the following benefits. You have advantage on saving throws against disease and being poisoned. You have resistance to poison damage. You don't need to eat, drink, or breathe. You don't need to sleep. And when you take a long rest, you must spend at least 4 hours in an inactive, motionless state rather than sleeping. During this state, you remain semi-conscious and can hear as normal. So that's basically your elvish trance, but you're dead.
Mixed with some dwarven resilient stuff, but
yeah,
whatever.
You're just an undead dwarf.
Yeah.
Man, that would suck. That feature does nothing if you are literally an undead dwarf.
Yeah.
And our third level revival feature, we have Bolts from the Grave. This one's really good. Immediately after you use your cunning action, you can make a ranged spell attack against a creature within 30 feet of you, provided you haven't already used your sneak attack this turn. You are proficient with it, you add your dexterity modifier to attack and damage rolls, and a creature hit by this attack takes necrotic damage equal to your sneak attack, and this uses your sneak attack for the turn. That's a... It's really cool.
Yeah. It's cool, but it's broken as shit. But we'll get back to that later.
I remember you saying that when you first looked at it. I've been meaning to ask you about that. I should have done that by now.
It's pretty dumb.
Yeah, no. It's interesting. And then we have Connect with the Dead, our 9th level revived feature. The only 9th level revived feature we have. You can create a link with a spirit through their corpse. You can probably guess what's coming next. When you do so, you cast Speak with the Dead, without using a spell slot or material components. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability for this spell. I don't believe there's any saving throws with Speak with the Dead, is there?
No.
The only time you'd only need that, what, if someone was counterspelling your Speak with the Dead?
No.
Why else would you need a spellcasting ability for it? Like,
I don't know. I think it's just because it says so.
Fair enough. Speaking with the dead in this way temporarily gives you a capability from a past life. You're unsure whether it's from your past life or the spirit's. When the spell ends, gain one of the random benefits from the revived capabilities table just below. And it lasts till you finish a short or long rest. And again, it's pretty cool. It's a D3. You can learn how to speak, read, and write a language of your choice, gain a skill or tool proficiency of your choice, or gain a saving throw of your choice. Once again, the rogue has another skill.
Yeah, and another saving throw.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What do you think you
like
are,
it.
monk? God.
Yeah, I know.
And this is after you cast a spell with this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. So it does have a bit of a cap, but still too good. It's too strong.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. That's later. We have Audience with Death. I love this feature. 13th level revived. When at death's door, you can converse with the powers of death. You have advantage on death saves, which is... and whenever you make a death saving throw, your spirit can ask an entity of death a question that can be answered with yes, no, or unknown. The entity answers truthfully, using the knowledge of all of those who have died. Literally every single thing that's ever died, you have that knowledge at your disposal.
Mm-hmm.
That seems balanced. In addition,
Gods have died too. That's
Yeah.
excellent.
In addition, whenever you have 0 hit points and are healed or stabilized, you can change any of your personal characteristics, so your personality, trait, ideal, bond, or flaw. I think that's very important to the class, and I'll go into that later.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have plagiarized straight out of 3.5, Ethereal Jaunt, the 17th level revive feature. Like a ghost, you have the ability to slip in and out of the ethereal plane, although that's incredibly misleading. You can now use your cunning action to teleport to an unoccupied space within 30 feet of you. You don't need to see that space to teleport it, but if teleportation fails, wasting your bonus action if you attempt to teleport through magical force that is medium or larger, such as a wall of force. If you appear in a space occupied by another creature, you are shunted to the nearest unoccupied place, and you take force damage equal to twice the number of feet you are shunted. So don't go into any walls with that specific feature.
Yeah. Walls that are 30 feet away, because that'll hurt.
Especially if they're like 20 feet deep.
Yeah, and then don't try it multiple times.
Yeah.
Because you will just die.
He lived how he died, clipping through a wall. What is this, WK20?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's at face value, it's a cool class. Like straight up, it is a cool class. The idea is interesting. It's something that we haven't really seen because no one will talk about revenants anymore. It's just something. It's something different to. I think. Would you say it's different to literally all the other rogue subclasses?
All the other rogue subclasses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say
I think it's different enough where you're not playing super sneaky death rogue or steely rogue.
It's a little close to arcane, but you just do not have the spell list attached to it. So in that sense, totally different. But no, it has a lot of cool things going for it. Maybe too many cool things. Let's find out as we go into our second segment, the meta mechanics. Rowan, tell me about this class. What's going on?
I think it's really, really versatile, which makes it just rather good. And I think that's what, like, the general gist of it mechanically is that it's just a versatile class that you can do a bunch of stuff with roughly when you need it. Because unless your DM's adverse to you carrying skulls in your back bag, you could just carry around like 8 skulls and then you just go talk to the dead. Oh, sweet. Short rested. I'll go talk to the next skull.
I was just always taking persuasion advantage on those short rests. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Or anything else. I need to go rock climbing tomorrow or in the next hour. Guess I'll get athletics.
That's so strong. Now that you say it like that, there's actually no class that I can think of. No class, no subclass. And I don't think I can think of a magic item either off the top of my head that outright lets you change skill proficiencies.
Nope. It's because there aren't.
No,
aren't any, as far as I'm concerned.
There's probably a reason for that.
Yeah, probably because it's really fucking good.
Like it allows if your wizard, if your party's wizard has catnap, you can have any skill proficiency you need within 10 minutes. And then
you know what you're doing for the day. You just wake up, go, yep, I need that, and then you have it. Really good, really, really good. All you have to remember is where your expertise is at, and then you're kind of laughing because that might change around. If you want to change out from being sneaky, and you have expertise in it, I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
I only just thought of that.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting. I don't think you can. Like, I think that would drop it down to just proficiency.
That's what I would assume, but who knows with Wizards of the Coast.
But you wouldn't be able to put it back in because token doesn't give you expertise in anything. That's just simply not how that works.
Yeah. Whatever.
I mean, but it's funny because I'm like, this could be like the dodgiest way of just getting outright extra skills. Like, so take your skills and then token of your past life into, say, stealth. Wait till you hit your level, appropriate level. I think it's 5th, 4th. I don't know. For rogue, take expertise in it, and then immediately the next morning after your long rest, drop out the skill proficiency into something else, and then your expertise drops down to regular proficiency, presumably. Gives you a whole additional proficiency you didn't have. You've traded expertise for it, so you're more jack of all trades than normal. But
Yeah, I think that's what this class is. It's basically just super skill monkey, and
it's so strong
it's
for a skill.
super broken with Bolts of the Grave. But
All right, yeah, no, let's get to that. I need you to tell me why Bolts of the Grave is bad.
I'll get there, but first I just have to tell you that Revived Nature is kind of irrelevant. So there you go.
Oh, I actually
Having
do.
Having to eat, drink, or breathe doesn't really ever come up in games unless you're playing like super hardcore mode. 4-hour long rest doesn't really matter either. You will spend take watch for half the rest, or read a book, or do some study or whatever. But the advantage on saving throws against poison, being poison, blah blah, and having resistance, it's neat, but whatever.
I will draw. Actually, no, I will say not being able to eat, sleep, drink, or breathe. Sorry, not eat, drink, or breathe is actually a little stronger than probably you think. And the only reason I say that is because, for example, like if you have underwater levels in your campaign, or like you go to a dungeon and so forth, you are now fine. Like you cannot asphyxiate because you don't breathe. That's just simply how that works.
You still suffer all the effects from being underwater. Like, just because you can breathe doesn't mean you can cast spells. Because you can't talk.
No, that's true, but it does take away that one element of danger that other people would face.
And yes, it does stop you from being trapped in the adamantine box with the anti-magic field in it, but it just means that you are forever stuck in that box.
That's true. But no, I do have something to say about Revived Nature when I get back to it. Specifically.
Yeah,
so, no, let's go. Tell me, I'm really keen. I've been waiting to know why Bolts of the Grave is so broken. Because I've been looking at it, I'm like, I can't see it. What is it?
You can't see it because at face value, it seems just like you have an innate bonus action attack freeing up your main attack action.
Yep.
So it seems pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But what it allows you to do is to take your cunning action, say you hide, you throw out your Bolt of the Grave, get your sneak attack in against the enemy who's fighting your fighter, and then you just hold your action until next turn, and then you until like the fighter's turn, for example, and then you can immediately sneak attack again because your fighter is next to them.
It is true. Although, I don't know, I thought about that, and basically what I figured is I'm like, it does mean that your sneak attack will more than likely proc twice around consistently than it does now, which it totally can with your opportunity attacks. Although I will point out, you can't do it with hide. Hide won't work. Specifically. Because if you take the hide as your cunning action, you hide, you make a ranged attack, breaks hide, because it's a ranged attack, and then you're immediately back out of hiding.
It doesn't matter, though, if your fighter is standing there.
Yeah,
like,
true.
In a combat situation, doesn't really do anything.
It will present you as a more dangerous target, so bear that in mind. I mean, like, if I'm DMing for it and that's what my rogue is doing, you know, any fighter with an intelligence of 9 or higher will recognize that that person is a threat, hides very well, and needs to be put down quickly. And you can visibly see, more than likely, they're squishier than the fighter. So I would point at that target. That's just me, though.
That is, like, atypical, but the problem is that in the end, you are a fighter, or you are a barbarian, and you are just not as nimble as that guy, because he will be able to leg it, and you won't be able to catch up.
Yeah, if you dash, that's a different story.
Because it is so reliable, this rogue will be the #1 damage dealer in your party, like, by at least, like, he'll be twice as effective as the next thing. Like, it is just so insane.
The only saving grace actually specifically with that is that the what is it? The deep rogue, Gloomstalker.
Oh, Ranger.
No, Scout. Scout's the one who gets the second sneak attack in a turn, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 17th level.
Damn. Wait, no. 3rd level feature. You can almost do it. Does it?
There you go.
It's Scout. No, Scout's Ranger, so it wouldn't work. You can't cross subclass. Damn.
No.
That's a shame. Well, actually, you know what? With this specific class, with the thematics that it has, you probably could argue that you could get away with that. I mean, like, what if all your past lives were just every other subclass of rogue?
God. Your DM would be the nicest person ever,
Yeah.
and your fighter and or barbarian would want to throttle you in your sleep.
Yes. Yes, they would. But to be fair, for this amazing combination to work, you do have to hit level 20. And honestly, the fighter will cave your head in by that point. Because they're a level 20 fighter. And that's what they do very well.
Yeah, but like 20, 30 d6 damage a turn, whatever you're doing as your rogue is ridiculous. Utter ridiculous.
But no, it's an interesting one. I think this Bolts from the Grave would be a less powerful feature if sneak attack was harder to proc. Like if it didn't have the advantage rule, basically. Or the nearby ally rule.
I think the
you'd
nearby
be fine.
ally rule. Yeah.
Once that's gone, if that was gone, revive Bolts from the Grave, totally fine.
Yeah.
Because you actively would have to work hard to get that second proc of it, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Doable, but if you built it, like, you'd have to build towards doing that, or your playstyle would have to be changed. So...
And you do have to be within 30 feet of the target, but...
You'd have to be within 5 for a melee, so...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's neat because it does allow you to be more versatile. Like you can use your action to unlock the door and throw out a sneak attack bolt reliably without having to take the attack action. But this bypasses that. So
yeah, it severely changes the action economy of this class. Okay, before we move on to looking at like our ideal races and feats and so forth, anything else mechanically speaking you'd like to talk about with Connect the Dead, Audience with Death, or Ethereal Jaunt? Any of those?
I think Connect with Death is rather neat. It's I think getting extra skills is too much.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it had a flat timer on it, like this lasts for an hour, or if this lasted for an hour or 10 minutes, it'd be a lot better. But because you have like an extra saving throw until your next short or long rest is insane. If you know you're fighting mind flayers, you just pick that. You already have int. You don't have to worry. But yeah, if you're going to another plane and you're worried you're going to get banished, just take that charisma saving throw proficiency and you're set. Or just more tools, more skills, allowing to read stuff. Languages, rather neat.
That I like that. That is one of the most sensible aspects of it. Honestly, I think if it were me, I'd even change the skill or tool proficiency to advantage on a roll. So you can still have like, this is the disembodied voice of your grandfather telling you how to use a woodcutter's tools. But instead of being all like, you just know how to do it, it's more along lines of, you are being coached through it, you have advantage.
Yeah. I think Connect with Dead would be completely fine as is if Tokens of the Past didn't exist.
I agree. I think Connect with the Dead is just the better version is the balanced version of Tokens of the Past.
Yeah.
Actually, thinking about it, you could just drop Tokens of the Past without really any problem.
Yeah, I was probably going to mention that. Like, this class is so front-loaded, it's rather ridiculous.
Yeah, 10 out of 10, best dip class.
Yeah, probably.
Actually, no, not even probably. It is.
Yes. Yeah.
It is, because I'm like, this is the thing Alex had a problem with with fifth edition in a few places, is that I feel skills aren't evenly distributed and they are too hard to get outside of like starting points. So if you wanted to play a fighter who has skills, play 3 levels of rogue, this rogue, and then be a fighter. Yes, you lose 1 attack later on, and I think you might drop your second action surge, but you will have, I think, on average, 6 skills at any given time, which is 4 more? No, you'd have 8, and you'd have 4 more than a regular fighter. That's pretty fucking cool.
And expertise in some things.
Oh, and you have expertise. My God.
Yeah.
Your athletics will be the best.
Yeah. It's super insane.
But yeah, no, and with the proficiency for a saving throw, I mean, at 15th level, rogues already have 3.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, it's just like, what day is it? Do I have strength? Do I have, charisma? Or do I have constitution?
Yeah.
Oh, man. But no, it is cool. Connect with the dead. Yeah. Move it down the pecking order a little bit. So maybe instead of 9th, 7th, but drop tokens of the past.
I think if you swapped Audience with Death with Connect with the Dead, it'd make a little more sense as it is currently. Because I think Audience with the Dead is by far the weakest thing on this list. But I don't know why 5th edition does it, but like these 13th and 17th level features are so weak in compared to everything else. I just so it's on record.
Yep.
5th edition, it shits me up the wall that everything is front loaded. Everything is front loaded so that like you when you start off you're rather strong, but it just means that everything at the end is utter dog shit. I say everything loosely.
We are obviously speaking in hyperbole.
Yes.
And this is commentary on the fact that 5th edition, unlike some of its predecessors, is, I won't say isn't, but is certainly less tailored towards high tier play.
Yeah.
There is, this is a thing. It's playing a low level campaign, somewhere between 3 to 10, basically. You get new stuff all the time. It's always cool. It's always fun. And then you hit 15th level. You grind your way up to 16. Oh, cool! I can do this thing now. Grind. 17. Oh wow! I can ethereally jaunt. Grind. So on and so forth. It is not. Like, ethereal jaunt is Misty Step glorified.
Yeah.
That is like, in 4th edition.
Glorified and then nerfed.
Yes. And in older editions, like with 4th edition, Misty Step, and this could still be true, but Misty Step was literally a racial feature of the Eladrin. Like, level 0s had Misty Step. And now it's like, oh, ethereal jaunt. Which I have a problem with just in the name sense, because I know what ethereal jaunt actually is, which is not this. Shout out to my 3.5 friends. Not that I have 3.5 friends. I have more than 3.5 friends. I have a rounded number of friends. I have not cut any of them in half. Anyway, so
and also so that the audience is aware, me and Alex have been playing in a long-standing D&D group that we've been playing for nearly 4 years or something, 5 years.
Yep.
And we got to the point where we're like level 20 prestige classes, blah blah blah, all the fun stuff. We've had to all homebrew, so this is why we're kind of frustrated. But anyway,
okay, races, features, backgrounds, builds, multiclassing. What's the go? How do I build the scariest revived rogue? Presuming I can't just start taking levels in Scout.
I don't know. I haven't really built anything that's super strong, but I just think that Revenant, of course, is the best thing thematically for you to play. But Revenant's broken as shit, but we won't get onto that topic. I hate that class. I hate that race. I think that
template.
Yes, I think that playing an Asimir would be super cool, because you could play like the beings that are from your past, could be like past angels, and then you kind of have all their memories. Or you could play a Dragonborn, I had written down as well, for like your bloodline, your blood heritage, and all your knowledge comes from past dragons. I think
That's
that'd
actually
be
really cool.
yeah.
Obviously, we have our standard rogue, rogue based, not base classes, but the races that lean towards rogue, just naturally speaking. We have dark elves, if you will, tieflings. Who else has dex as a base?
Not tieflings.
No, they have charisma int, which is still really good for rogues.
Yeah. Halflings, goblins, because goblins are the best race ever. Just so that everyone's aware of that.
I want you to play a revenant
kobolds.
goblin, just so you know.
I'm never playing that thing. I'll play a goblin anything, but not a revenant. Oh, wait, a revenant goblin.
Yeah, revenant goblin. I'm just going to put this out here. Currently in our own home campaign that we've got, I would just like to point out that I think I've just realized one of the NPCs would technically probably be classified as a revenant goblin at this point.
Alright, shoot.
Aloestra.
Oh yeah.
When you think about it, like technically, it's a little house. It's like a house elf thing that just dies a lot. It just explodes but comes back. And I was like, man, yeah, that's a revenant goblin, sort of. Anyway, enough about us.
Man, half elf with this class is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Two
Human
more freaking
variant
skills.
with any class is bullshit.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's all I got. I think. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think when it comes to multi-classing, while you can, I don't know if it's particularly needed, honestly.
It's probably not.
No, I think this class, like this one can stand very well on its own, if only because rogues stand very well on their own. The only thing I'm trying to think, maybe some fighter for the archery stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, fighter into rogue, as we mentioned, would be neat.
But no.
Even like anything multi-classes with rogue, just in general. I think Bard would be cool with this class, because then you become the ultra skill monkey. And if you're a human variant, you take skilled as well, and you'll probably have all the skills. If you're a half elf as well, I'm just going to assume that you have all the skills all the time as the DM.
Okay, actually no, like, just have a quick think about this. Alright, let's see. So we'll go human variant, so we have a base skill. And then...
Half elves get 2.
Half elves get 2 base skills?
Yes.
You fucking... Okay, cool. So you've got 2 skills there. We've got at least 2 skills from the background, sometimes 3. Mm-hmm. And do we start with rogue or do we start with bard?
Rogue starts off with 4.
Or are they just choose any 3?
Bards get any 3. Yeah.
Okay.
So you go rogue first, and then you have 8 skills at level 1.
And then, yep, so you have the 4 skills there from that.
You
and
get
now,
expertise at level 1 as well.
Yep. We dip into bard for the extra skill. Mm-hmm. We gain our additional skill from 3rd level feature, brings us to 10. At 4th level, 4th level rogue, 5th level total, take skilled feat. Instead of your ability skill improvement, we're up to 13 skills. How many skills are there in the game?
4, 8, 12, 16, 18, and you got 12 of them.
Okay.
And expertise in 4 of them, I think.
Actually, you have 13, sometimes 14, depending on which background you go, because there are some backgrounds that give you 3.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot, and that's just raw. I don't know, but there could be another. There could be a magical item out there somewhere that gives you another proficiency. One of the ion stones might do that. I cannot recall.
Probably one of the ion stones.
Actually, yeah, I think there's definitely one of the stones that float around your head that teaches you stuff. And then, yeah, once you hit 9th level, or 10th level character, 9th level of rogue, you gain that additional skill proficiency. So we're at 15, 14, 15, depending. That's insane. But
And
hey,
yeah, and you have expertise in 4 of those skills.
gosh
You're
damn.
the do-it-all rogue,
Yeah.
and you're insane at combat because bolts of the grave.
And then from that point, just take a couple more levels in Bard, gains Jack of all trades, so you're good at everything else anyway.
Yep,
All
you're good at the
3
2
of them.
skills you're not good at, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep,
Just
awesome.
in case. Jesus Christ. That's awesome. That is fantastic. All
Class
right.
building.
Yeah, fun as heck. So, with that being said, how do you feel? You good with meta mechanics, and we can move on, or is there
Yeah,
anything
I think
else?
it's really good. One thing I did want to mention, and I think I mentioned it last week, was Haunted One background. One of my favorite backgrounds after I actually read it. But Haunted One, I think, really works with this because you're working off like either past memories or past voices. Your past can come back to haunt you as a Haunted One. So it's still coming after you, trying to catch up with you, and maybe your past is keeping you alive, or your past is trying to come back and kill you, and that's why you are a Haunted One.
That would be cool. All right, which is convenient. That brings us into Character Uncovered, the third and final segment of our beautiful, beautiful show. And we'll take a look at a couple of the thematics of this class and what we can do with them ourselves. So, having a look, following that, we've got origin stories. So yeah, like Haunted One is a really good background, both mechanically and thematically, to work with this class. And I would say it's not as common as I would like to find it. Things that are both thematically and mechanically really strong for a class. I think that's really good that works. Alternative origin stories. You have your standard Guy Pearce, wake up with no memory and a cool tattoo. Although I will be honest, my notes do say / as a revenant, but that's just me.
Yep.
However, a couple of other interesting things. You could play a natural seer. So rather than these being your past lives or so on and so forth, these are literally just ghosts that are harassing you, or ghosts you have befriended because you just have that connection beyond the veil of death. And you can slightly see into that world, and they give you the advice. They're drawn to you, anchored to you because of your abilities. And with that could be a really good hook. Like, as a DM, you could have one of those ghosts who is like, yeah, they give you a skill proficiency in deception. The reason they do that is because, they need you to go do this job for them. They need help with something so they can finally rest. And you can build something really cool from that.
I like that because then it's not that you get like I like it. I think it'd be cool if the DM decides which skills you get from what you get. I think it makes a class a lot stronger and a lot worse, and it puts a little bit more work on the DM. But I think it'd be cool if the DM's more involved in what happens.
Yeah, I wholly
with the
agree.
skill picking. Yeah.
This is my personal favorite origin story, and it's not that you are a rogue. You are in fact not a rogue. You are instead a series. You are 3 souls standing on top of each other's shoulders in a large trench coat. It's perfect. It is the best thing. None of you are alive. You're all just ghosts, and you're just holding together this leather armor, holding a sword as best you can, trying to make your way through the world. Refusing to die.
That sounds pretty cool.
It would be fun, is what it would be. It'd be really fun. But another thing you could do, rather than spirits or past lives and so forth, you can run this straight up as a patron. Like, there is nothing that would change if it was, someone had chosen your character to be the harbinger of the apocalypse. And so they keep bestowing these gifts to make you more powerful, to make you stronger, so that you can go bring about the end of the world. Whether you want to is a different story or not, but it can very much easily be a malevolent force that is just feeding you, keeping you alive, stopping you dying, basically, because they have plans.
I like that.
Thank you. And then kind of like following that same thing, you might be, this is the one that I went with for today's story, you could be chosen by death. maybe death has a plan, and for whatever reason, it didn't go accordingly. And now someone needs to actually change it so it's fixed. And that very much is you today, apparently. The alternative version of that, if you were played by Brad Pitt, you could take the Meet Joe Black option, and you could just simply be the embodiment of death. And when you draw on that knowledge, when you get the extra skills, that's just you selecting a soul out of the void, because it's like, yeah, I know he was a carpenter, and I need carpentry today. Or when you're audience with death, that's you returning to your own house, your own abode, and checking over your own notes, checking in with whoever helps death do all death's business. But also, it'd be a cool way, I think, to experience that. Alternatively, it could be any other deity, any other patron, or a huge body of power. Works exactly the same principle. And alternatively, this one relies heavily on having your DM on board, but maybe you were killed by a god, and that's inadvertently cursed you to this eternal life.
Ooh, I like that one.
Or you were killed the wrong way, and so your death doesn't count, so you're just stuck in this loop of dying every so often. Like, Final Destination style, except instead of death coming for you, it's death has forgotten about you. And so you're just here now. That's just what you do.
I think that's probably my favorite. It's just like, oh, crap.
And, as a DM, you can choose to rectify that later with a Reaper or something. Now, while this brings me to the next bit, personality. And for me, and I think this was true of the people who designed this, I was watching the interviews, it is I think this class is allowed to be powerful if you limit yourself. And the way I say that is there's a lot of challenging ideology going on in this class. If you woke up with new skills, new abilities, you take a short rest and suddenly you know how to speak French, you'd have a lot of questions. And if you were constantly finding out you died and you're back, you might have this calamity, not calamity per se, but this incongruity of knowing who you are, because you don't. Are you an amalgamation of all your past lives? Are you your own person? You don't know. And getting into that introspective stuff, I think, is what this class can do really, really well. And I draw us all back to the one single, little part, audience with death, final lines. In addition, whenever you have 0 hit points and are healed or stabilized, you can change any of your personal characteristics, such as your personality trait, ideal, bond, or flaw. Nothing else gets to do that, and I think that is the coolest thing. So, if you play into that stuff heavily, I think that will make it a hard character to play. Whether you can be bothered is a different story, though.
Yeah. It's like writing up a new character every time you die.
Yeah. And it is cool. I think, some of the features are incredibly powerful, but if you are on top of yourself, you might be able to balance it out, I would say. With that being said, are you tormented by the condition? Have you... There's a lot of classic stories of valiant heroes who have been denied their glorious deaths and hate the fact that they're alive. Are you one of them? What if you were an honorable soldier who was meant to fall in the field of battle, but you didn't, and now for some reason you can't? How would that make your character feel? Would you even care about the world anymore? If you always come back, why does anything matter? This is the introspection stuff this class offers that I don't think any other one really does. The other thing that, in terms of your personality, is how do other people treat you for this condition that's been imposed upon you? If going with kind of an old mindset, a very narrow mindset, it is not unheard of for people to be driven out of town. Like, we had the whole witch hunt things. If someone's whites or whiter than someone else's, they're probably a witch. So how does it go if your character dies and then they come to a new town? No, your character comes to a new town, first time they've ever been there, and everybody recognizes them. Like, how does that play out? What's that scene look like? Do people fear you because you are dead, but you're clearly not? Like, how does that impact you? You can build a really good villain out of this class for that reason.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say. And that kind of brings us to the last section, which is like kind of slight alternatives and thematic changes that you can make that would set this up in a bit of a different way, I would say. The first one of those, and this is where I need your help, Ron. Okay, so if we change our bolts from the grave from necrotic to radiant, is there any game-breaking reason we should not do that?
Not particularly.
Okay. Because, yeah, I that's the obvious one, straight off the bat, get it out of the way. Secondly, I think Ethereal Jaunt should be fixed and changed to what it used to be. For those viewing at home who don't know, Ethereal Jaunt was just a temporary, I'm ethereal now, and now I'm not ethereal. The end. I think instead of it being a teleport, I think it should just be you turn ethereal until the end of your turn.
Yeah. That seems just a tenfold better. Some line that said you can't finish your turn inside a wall or whatever.
And you get shunted out, so yeah, don't be an idiot. Problem solved.
Yeah. It's the exact same thing, yeah.
The other thing is, I would propose, is to make Ethereal Jaunt something you could do to other people instead, if you wish. So, to look at that, instead of you going ethereal, you basically punch the soul out of somebody else. Oh, yeah. They make a little saving throw, and then maybe they're like, for the rest of their turn, they're stuck in the ethereal world. They skip their turn. They're not hurt or anything particularly, but they're out of that round. That has a little bit more oomph, I think.
I think you could do some fun stuff with, like, an Astral Dreadnought. Because if you're jumping in and out of the ethereal plane, and that Dreadnought just goes, oh, I'm just going to cut that, and then you die. That'd be really cool.
It would be. And it would finally give us another thing to use our charisma saves against. That's just nice. Another thing that I was thinking is changing the poison damage resistance that you get at first, possibly to necrotic resistance. Now, I recognize that necrotic is probably a more common damage type that you'll come up against, so it does have a little bit of a strength in that sense. But
it depends what level you're playing the game, because as you go higher, poison is less, but at the lower levels, poison's quite common.
I just think necrotic also makes sense for the same reason. Clearly, you are not dying, so why does death energy hurt you as much? You know, that's a pretty easy one. Now, this is the other thing that I would change personally when it comes to the revive nature feature. I don't think you should be semi-conscious and here as normal. I think you should just be asleep for 4 hours. You're not an elf.
I think they just kept the wording the same, just so there was no confusion.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
I think you should just actually be dead for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
pass out.
Yeah, no. Simply as you are dead for 4 hours, and it takes an action to wake you up. That's it. It wouldn't affect. It would. It is, but it's another element that your party will have to work together to overcome. And you're awake for 4 hours. You can take half the watch by yourself. So it's not unreasonable for if you're a party of 5, 4 of them take the first 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, keeping an eye on you. And then you take the other half of the watch yourself because you don't need to sleep. And, seeing as you've got 50,000 skills, you're probably good at, perception. So,
Bound to be.
Probably. Surely you would not skip that. That would be insane.
Yeah.
But no.
Fair.
All in all, those are the only the changes that I could really see in terms of, like, literal mechanics. Oh, no, that's a lie. There is one other that is also my personal favourite, and if anyone ran it, I would do. I would change death. So, Audience with Death. I'm a big fan of the Terry Pratchett books, and Death is a prominent character in that series, which I always think is fantastic. And I don't see why the spirit of Death has to be just a yes, no, or unknown. I think that should be an actual character. I think you should be able to build a rapport or not. Maybe they don't like you because you keep not coming back. I think, I don't think the entity has to answer truthfully. I just don't think they should be able to lie. I think they should be able to tell you to go to buggery, though.
Yeah, I was about to say they should be able to just tell you to piss off.
That's entirely fair. They have things that they need to do. So, like, maybe you have the Grim Reaper as your death in your game. Maybe you go with the standard, so you have, like, Kalimvor or... Ogma? Ogma was one of the other death gods, if memory serves. So maybe you use one of like those. They should be fully built NPCs. Your players will be interacting with them, especially this rogue. Build them, make them something memorable, something entertaining. Give your players quests from them. Like, the rogue wakes up after dying and is just there like, okay, I recognize we're in a fight, guys, but there is something much bigger coming. And I think that would be something much more interesting than just simply a ghostly spirit says yes, no, or unknown. It also balances out the fact that they have literally the entire history of everything at their fingertips. Maybe they just don't want to tell you. Maybe you're a dick. Maybe they're just like, you figure it out. You've got 15 skills. You do it.
Yeah, go do it yourself.
Yeah, problem solved.
And I think that'd be a little more appropriate too if it was at that lower level. So it just kind of gives that more, because it's lower level, it's easier for the god to just like no.
No.
Yeah.
Do what I want.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Anyway, that there, ladies and gentlemen, is the revived rogue. In its entirety, we have gone through every detail we possibly can. And hopefully you will now go out and build your own revived rogues. Yeah. And, piss off some gods, get in some problems, you know how it be. Usual rogue stuff. Except now you are no longer limited to the plane of the living.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's so good. I also... just on a slightly side note, how interesting would it be to have this revived rogue and you end up in the city of the dead or something on one of the other planes, and you run into your past life or one of those souls, and they just come to you and they're like, "Hey, remember me? I taught you survival and your brain. I'm a ghost." I think that's amazing.
That's pretty neat.
You just already know everyone in the afterlife. It's all good.
We do a full town. You already know everyone because you lived out like 12 lives there.
That's so good. But yeah, no. Amnesia is probably like the standard way to go with the origin of this one. And probably the easiest. Anyway, this has been Revived Rogue. I've been Alex. You can find me on Twitter at TableGameSmith. Send us any Unearthed Arcanas that you want us to have a look at. And if there are some other classes, maybe some homebrew ones you've seen online that you'd like to see taken to pieces, then send us our way. With me, Rowan Douglas. And I think that's going to end our episode.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Bye, everybody. Have yourselves a great, wonderful day. See you next week. What are we looking at next week before we go on?
I'm thinking we could go through I can't remember what it's called. I'm just going to call it the Versatility UA. Which goes through all the classes. So that might take us some time.
Oh, yeah. The new feature list that just dropped.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. We're going to have a look at that. We'll see you next week. Might be a little bit shorter. Might be a little bit longer. Who knows?
It will be longer.
That's
guarantee it.
Fair. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.